A message that we always like to stress, and I think why we do so well at what we're doing, is we're relatable people. We're not just salespeople. We're not just property management people. We're not just looking to make a commission check. We are offering legitimate answers and, different strategies to people that have questions. It's not just about a one size fits all. Really, we want to know about you. We want to know how your income is. We want to know what some of your goals are. We want to know what's available to you. We want to know the credit that's everything that you have. Also, we can come up with a strategy and put these different concepts in front of you to see what you like. Maybe a rehab, a flip isn't a good idea for you, but maybe you can purchase a property that's already occupied. What are some of the things that you like to discuss with people just to kind of get the ideas flowing to see where they're at, what strategies we can use? Where do we start with people? Where do you like to start?
I like to start when I'm asking their goals and then dissecting it from there. So if, like, for example, I have one owner that's in the middle of 1031 exchanging into another property, and a 1031 exchange is when they sell an investment property and use the profits from that property to go into a new property. And why they say exchange is because they defer their capital gains taxes. So, for example, I have the one owner that's purchasing a replacement property, and their goal is they don't want to take on any debt, so they don't want to have a loan on the property, so they're paying 100% cash. And when they're paying 100% cash, they also, because they don't want any debt, they're willing to take something that's subpar or a wholesale deal in order for them to get an off-market property. So right now, I found a wholesale deal for this client to buy. They're buying it for $460,000. And because of the location of the property, the after repair value, once it's already repaired, is going to be worth close to $600. But they are going to have to they have rental income that they're going to not pull rental income out of, let that stack up a little bit, and they're going to use that to fund the renovation.
So basically, it's not too much out of pocket, right?
Exactly. But you don't know this information until you sit down and you talk to somebody. Like, for example, a lot of people think that they've got to put 20% down on a house. And that's not always the case. If they're going to be living in it, they can do an FHA 3.5% down. They can do a conventional 3% down, or they can also do a conventional 5% down. But we need to get into the nitty gritty of, okay, what's your debt to income ratio? Because your debt to income ratio, if you've got a lot of credit card bills, you might have to go with that FHA loan because of the underwriting is a little bit different. Versus if you want to go with a conventional, the debt to income ratio has to be lower. So you can't have a bunch of debt on your credit.
A lot of people sometimes get shy or intimidated when we're asking certain questions. I know you've been there. I know I've been there, where they're kind of reserved. Like, wait, why do you want to know how much I make? Wait, why do you want to know how much debt I have? It's to offer the best service we can possibly offer to you and just have the whole picture. There's nothing worse, in my opinion, than you're coming up with strategies and you're 3/4 through the process, and then you get bombarded with all of these things like, hey, did you know that their debt to income ratio is terrible? They actually just took out more cards, and you know that they just purchased a vehicle. That's why we ask these type of questions, to make sure what we're telling you is the truth. Because one of the things we would hate to happen is we get blamed. Like, oh, you didn't tell me I couldn't do that. Actually, we tried to.
And that's why it's really important to me that any client that wants to work with me has talked to a mortgage loan officer prior to or in the process of engaging with me, because then I know for sure what's your credit situation, what's your income situation. So that way it's not because I just want to know if I'm not wasting my time. No, it's so I can help you strategize. Look, is your score too low? You need, something above a 620. Okay, and how are we going to get there? Do you have your mom or your dad that can put you on a credit card and piggyback and boost your score? Do you need to pay off some of your debt so that way your ratios are better? I can't tell you what I don't know. And if you want a step by step, like, exact way to get to your goal, you need to be like upfront and completely honest with me, because if you're not telling me, I can't help you get out of a situation.
In a way, we're still children, we only know what we know, and that's all we know. Until someone else shows us how to do things, or until we learn or we read or hear different concepts, there's no way of us knowing. When you ask people like, hey, what are your goals? Sometimes to me, it feels like I'm asking a kid in middle school, like, hey, what's your goal? What do you want to be when you grow up? I don't know.
Yeah. There are some times when I'll start to talk to people and they really don't know. All they know is they want a house. So for example, my in-laws, they don't really have a history of being financially educated. So one of the things, right now they're renting a mobile home and they think that that's an asset when it's not, because a mobile home is a depreciating asset. They actually don't own the land. They're basically glorified renters. So what I told them to do is, for them to consider doing is maybe selling their mobile home and then using the proceeds from that sale to purchase a 2 to 4 unit property, because their income isn't as high as it should be, to buy a really nice property that's $700,000-$800,000. But if they do the 2 to 4 unit property, they can use 75% of the rent, of the anticipated rent on the other units, to help them qualify for another mortgage. So it's just, come to me, talk to me, give me a little bit of information, and even if you don't know where you want to go, I'll start throwing some ideas out there. And if you feel comfortable, that's the path that we'll go down. But I can't help you if you don't engage and have that conversation with me.